ESL presents ESL Challenger League in partnership with Intel, Acer Predator, DHL,
ESL Challenger League Season 51 getting well underway now. We're into that third cup. Feels like it is absolutely flying by. And I have been enjoying myself. Caught the grand final of the previous cup. It is going to be myself, Scriv, and Laz joining today. Over from North America, as we were saying. You know, we borrowed you a little bit. And actually our first cast together, considering we've had, you know, lots of cross paths and having met and all that. But we've never been able to cast together.
Man, it's so true. Yeah, and it's good to be here with you, and with a game like this too. That'll even be more fun for both of us to capture for the cup here, like you said. And yeah, a lot riding at stake for this one. But I wouldn't mind just even getting into the prize pool a little bit, right? I mean, this is where a lot at stake for these teams, and a lot that's kind of happening and occurring. Which you know, you've been here, you know this whole deal. But for me, you know, covering an EU game, this is a little bit different than what I get to see in North America. And there's some good money on the plate here.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty good for these teams. It does, as we'll probably see in the future graphics, it takes a lot of work to get there. You might have your mind exploded by the amount of teams taking place. But yeah, prize pool wise, very important. And there's obviously been big conversation around all this with the major chase for that VRS and those last little bits of points. So every extra, I don't know, $1,000 you can get is obviously going to have a big effect. And I think all these teams feeling that they can get very close. But as I said, here is that bracket. We got the top side of things. Maybe the more observant amongst you know that we're on the Johnny Speeds versus ENCE Academy game for this upper bracket side. But just to give you guys a good read as well of how things have been going. It's quite hard to get through. There's a lot of teams here, lads. You know, a lot of games going on. But that's good. We get all the Counter-Strike out from an EU ECL Cup now, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it is, right? And like you said, I mean, the competition is just fierce because, like, this bracket is just, it's so big. And there's so many good teams that you have to kind of get through. And like you said, for the fact that, you know, Johnny Speeds has been able to kind of, you know, putting themselves in a position of like 2-0s across the board, getting them into a semi-final position, as you can see in the bracket. And roughly similar situation for ENCE Academy, but, you know, a little bit of a closer affair in that, you know, earlier stage before the quarters where it was a 2-1. So it's been relatively smooth sailing for both these teams, so to speak. But yeah, it's just, there's so many different teams that you have to play against. And then even whoever wins this game, as you can see, they'll be in the final spot, which then that means they're going to have to, you know, take on TNC or, you know, so forth. But let's go to the lower bracket as well.
Yeah, let's have a little bit of a check-in. I think the lower bracket side of things, it can be a bit tough down here. You know, you see teams, 8sins is one that sticks out to me. I believe they're UK boys, right? So maybe wanting them to do a little bit better. But, you know, Nigel Mirage, I don't know if you get that reference at all, but I believe a reference to a UK politician, let's say. Let's maybe not name him because he's not super popular. But very funny name. So there's a few UK teams in here, and obviously they just have a bit of a tough time. I'm trying to see if there's really any unexpected names, as it were. I don't think necessarily the case just yet. Unity and Mana sort of stick out as they've been knocked down, but that's very, very recently. So yeah, but again, it can be really quite difficult in this lower bracket as there's just, again, so many games, so many teams to be playing off against that just makes all the difference. But as I say, plenty of Counter-Strike. We've been through, I don't know about you guys over in NA, I feel like maybe not as much. In EU, for a while there, it felt every season we were on a different format, and some were like really cutthroat. If you got promoted, you played 2 games and you were knocked, like if you lost both of them, you were knocked back down into advanced, and you know, that's pretty brutal. So the cup system feels pretty good to just allow some of the lesser experienced teams to get as many games as possible. And one of those might be a team here as well, ENCE Academy, starting to build up some really good officials recently.
Yeah, no, and it is a good point you bring up too, right? Because like back in the day with the old format, it felt like it was really cutthroat. Where again, like you said, a lot of promotions and demotions happening across. But now we're in the cups. This is where a team like ENCE Academy, you can see that they're in a good position where it's a really young team. You know, some star players in the making potentially that are kind of riding through these cups and just trying to get points and experience together to kind of run through the ranks, which is not a bad thing at all. But I mean, what's interesting about a young team like this for an academy roster is like I feel like there's so much prospect for all these players. Like I don't feel like anybody to me was like not like a weak point, so to speak, but I mean when you're kind of looking at the few of them, like there's definitely some really good statistics that you can see, and like I think it's pronounced as like Teme, and like he's also just a guy that like pops off and he's able to like really lead the charge, and you can see with their previous events it's been relatively decent for them. So all in all, like again, for an academy team, I'm always a big advocate for academy teams just to see what they can really bring and how much they're going to learn from like their senior teams and kind of the other groups, and how much they can grow and develop.
Yeah, absolutely. A project that on paper has been going for quite a while, and I think maybe it's opened up for them to play a little bit more because of the main roster being dropped and rebuilt and rethought and whatnot. So trying to prove themselves, and the name that you already mentioned is Teme here on the other side of things on that ENCE Academy. He's going to be off against Yokab, who is one to watch on the Johnny Speed side of things, and I think a very, very exciting player in his own right, having only just joined from the Young Ninjas in November, so he's not been here for very long. Male 09 probably steals the Swedish spotlight in the end, but Yokab is not too far behind him as a young player that could do an awful lot here.
No, I definitely agree, and that is a cool thing too. And when we talk about even for like Johnny Speeds, is like you have a lot of like veteran players too, right? I mean, I think everyone should obviously know this, but it's like you have the coach of like Freiburg, you have someone like Lekro that's been around for quite some time. So it is like cool to have a lot of I would say like more senior experienced players with this group. Nice to see Nock kind of back in a team as well. I feel like he's always kind of had the worst running of every situation, right? I mean, like I think back a couple of years ago when he got kicked for device, and it's like, okay, and then he got kicked again for another bigger name offer. So I feel like for him, I'm hoping this team will be kind of more the long-term home where these guys can again like develop and grow. So far things are looking really good for these guys, like sitting on quite a few matches where they've been able to like put themselves in like a 6-match undefeated streak in some sense. They've been able to only take a couple losses more recently against like Alliance, but all in all, like I feel like Freiburg's doing a good job with this group, and Lekro again with his IGLing abilities is seeming like it's going down the right path here. Scriv, I feel like I'm not really noticing any major hurdles or any major concerns from my perspective.
100% agreed. I think since the addition of Nork in particular, they've had a really, really great uptick. So yeah, Freiburg and Nork coming in seems to have really turned things around for them, which I think makes it a lot of fun to watch. And they've been playing in a few of these lands and doing okay as well. And then yeah, the losses that were dotted in the middle, you got Quentry, kind of fair enough, and then you've got Alliance, who are in major contention at the moment, so they've obviously been on a really good run of form. We do have these map stats for you guys, of course, to just go over, and should be getting into that veto shortly. I would say in this matchup, I think the veto maybe does paint itself. Might be something a little funky that comes out, but in these types of games, teams tend to keep it pretty simple and pretty logical to their map pool. So yeah, interested to see where that goes.
Yeah, and the thing that's interesting about Johnny Speeds too is like that you can see like a lot of officials that are under their belt, but it's more about the records, right? Like I mean, Anubis like a 1-3, or like you even kind of look at like Dust 2. It's not really at all good statistics. It's like 6-15. So it's like there's a lot of reps and a lot of experience on it, but it's also just not getting in under the win column. So that's where kind of things have to get progressed a little bit better. But we know that their Overpass is strong. We know that their Mirage is relatively decent. Same with Ancient, can be arguably not bad considering how many maps they played. So I agree with you. I think the veto is going to be very interesting in this matchup, because I mean, when we kind of flip the scale here, when we talk about ENCE and their kind of map pool as well, I mean, there is quite a few under Mirage, there's quite a few under Nuke that they've played. Everything else starts to get a little bit more dwindled, but again, these numbers do relatively look decent, minus, you take out Dust 2 and Inferno, but otherwise things are, not bad. I mean, there's still a little bit more of an improvement, obviously, that's needed, but nonetheless, they're still getting officials under all the maps, which is important.
Yeah, that is very true, actually, and I think something that ENCE are trying to build towards, Johnny Speeds are trying to build towards, is just a more workable, less predictable kind of map pool. So I'm curious here, do we see the Anubis? Does it get banned away? Do both of them keep Dust 2 open? Because they're both not great on the map, you know? So there's things like this that might come into it, but I think generally speaking, you maybe save those types of things for LAN. That's pretty interesting, actually. Maybe they are going for something funky here. The Inferno ban makes a lot of sense, right? ENCE Academy don't really play that very much, but the Nuke ban is certainly a target. It's ENCE Academy's home map at the moment alongside Mirage. So I quite like that from Johnny Speeds that they've decided to target them.
No, absolutely. That's a smart ban that comes through from Johnny Speeds, right? Like you said, that is arguably the best map here for ENCE Academy. So for that ban to come out right away, it's like, nah, we don't even want to entertain the idea of this. We don't even want to play you on your best map. We're going to like kind of mix things up and maybe ruffle some feathers, which I'm not against. So this will be interesting about the first pick that will come through too, which I imagine is quickly. Yeah, so Mirage. Okay, interesting. And I mean, on paper, I mean, both these teams, I think they're dead even. Like, I think it's like a 68% win rate. Now, I would give more of an edge to ENCE Academy, considering they played it 31 times. So that is not a bad pick, but Overpass is a heavy lift. So both these teams actually going relatively in some other arsenal of their favorites, and then Ancient kind of to be the decider. So yeah, I don't know, Scriv. I'm not against this. I think Dust 2 would have been kind of interesting just because of both these teams not the greatest on it. Maybe that would have been well balanced, but I think they kind of went with the heavy strengths and just, you know, try to avoid any weaknesses as much as possible.
Yeah, that's the bluff, isn't it? The Dust 2, you know, are you going to take us on it? Are you actually going to try and challenge it? I think a lot of fun, though, to see them, you know, go into something a little bit more creative. When I had a quick look at this, I was like, okay, Dust 2 gone, Anubis gone, and then we have Mirage, Nuke, maybe Overpass Decider, maybe Overpass and Nuke sort of swap places depending on who gets first picks and things like this. But the fact that it has gone a slightly different direction is kind of cool, that they've not just kept it to the super boring, super flat veto, and they have used their 7 map pools to their advantage. So yeah, really looking forward to getting into this one.
Yeah, me too. I think this, you know, it's always funny when we talk about the vetoes and like where things could go, but I'm actually excited to see like, you know, 2 strong maps for both these teams to really showcase like why it's such a strong map for them too. And that's where I kind of wonder as well for, you know, someone like on like Freiburg from Johnny Speeds is like how much anti-stratting have they kind of prepared for? Like, or were they anticipating this kind of veto to maybe come through? And yeah, you got to give a lot of credit to someone like Freiburg where, I mean, again, tons of experience. He's been through the block. He knows what he's doing, but we're going to get into it. We're going to find out right away, and Mirage is going to be the first test. And again, this is ENCE's pick, so a lot riding on them to be able to find themselves the first W if they can. But starting on that T side, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, here we go, though. Hopefully some good Counter-Strike on the cards for this one. Johnny Speeds, really great team at the moment. I think I would potentially put them as a good, clean winner. They were just maybe outside of that VRS chasing conversation. They did a little bit of it. They played a couple of their lands that they were in, but they're just a bit too far down the list at the moment. But into the next cycle of the major in Shanghai, I think that could be an awful lot of fun to see if Johnny Speeds can keep this form going.
No, definitely. And that is a good point you bring up too, is the fact of like, you know, they were a team that was really close in that major, you know, conversation, and they were grinding it out, and that's where they're just trying to get all these VRS points, and that's where it's really important, you know, in the conversation of later down the road. But I mean, a lot more at stake here for ENCE if they can be able to find the win. They actually, you know, in terms of VRS, they actually would get, you know, 29 points, which is quite significant. So not a bad situation for these guys at all. Whereas like Johnny Speeds, they would only get about, I think it's about that 5-6 points on the VRS scale. So not the, you know, the greatest amount of points. It's actually a massive loss, which would be 26 if we see Johnny Speeds losing this one. But yeah, a lot of pressure here for ENCE, just to, again, climbing the ranks and getting themselves that more established name as an academy team. But we'll find out. And I think we'll be going live shortly. Yeah, the freeze time's looking like it's counting down. We're ready to go, Scriv.
Yes, indeed. Oh, you spoke too soon.
I jinxed it, yeah.
Unlucky.
I even said it out loud, and I'm like, I hope I don't jinx this. I was thinking that in my head. I'm like, don't jinx it. Don't jinx it, Laz.
Yeah. No, it's all good. It is indeed a part of the game. Just gotta. I said Shanghai. It's Singapore, isn't it? Major in Singapore, not Shanghai, guys. I'm sure the chat is getting at me. Live fact check. Live fact check. I have to make sure. I was like, I need to just. I've got them confused, as it does happen. I think people do that a lot with those two different spots. But either way, yeah, we are straight into the action here. Get into the pistol. I was also going to add, there's been a lot of tech pauses recently, so I'm gonna touch wood and hope that that'll be our only one into this game. Heap looking for the first head. Does get it, but he's quickly traded out. It's quite a slow one here, I think, from both sides. So some big kills at the top of mid there.
Yeah, it's really nice, though. I like the fact that we see, you know, for Johnny Speeds, like, they actually try to contest a little bit of mid and just getting that information. Because, again, if nobody would have been on the mid ramp like that, then they have, like, a lot of information. They can actually even try to go for a bit of a flank if they choose to, and a lot of real estate grabbed up. But now you can see ENCE getting ready for a little bit of an execute here. Double smoke's going to get thrown, so that's going to be the jungle and stairs making the wall. And the CT's now making the rotate. Long awaited here, but now ENCE kind of taking their time a little bit on this. They're kind of trying to play a little bit of mind games, allowing the pop flash for these guys to flood on out of Palace. But, oh, man, it's just going to be terrible when these USBs just make connections like that.
Yeah, some sharpshooters on this Johnny Speed side, man. I think we might... Yeah, good feel for them. Going for the open plant is certainly a risk. Maybe Nork wasn't quite located, to be honest. You know, that open plant for CT while your teammate's fighting. Ooh. Teme showing himself, though, as he does find two. He will be dealt with. Lekro seeing him off, but that was close. And this is the one we said to watch on the ENCE Academy side, and you can see why.
Yeah, I mean, again, we were talking about, you know, Teme, like, what he can bring to the table. And, I mean, the fact that he was able to find this double duel in that kind of a situation, well, I was thinking, man, surely that was going to be it. But luckily, little Lekro to save the day, I guess, here for Johnny Speed fans. But down to a 1v1, and I was getting a little bit worried for ENCE and the fact that they were taking a long time to go for the execute. It felt like they were kind of maybe slightly overthinking that little bit of a pop, but it pans out for him. But now... Jokab's now actually going to push down mid one more time. So again, just getting this information as promptly as possible. But they're not going to over push this. So this is actually a very important detail, just because in case those pistols can make a good connection or good shot, I mean, then he doesn't go down, right? So I know it's just Glocks, but hey, look, we've seen some crazy things with Glocks, right? I know I did yesterday.
It can happen. Okay, I thought it wasn't going to be clean to start with. He took that dink like instantly, but he does strike true on that. Spray control obviously shows it pays off in the recoil master, and it will be that second round coming in from Johnny Speeds pretty simply here. Yeah, lovely on the replay. But early rifle buy coming in from the T side, thanks to the lack of bomb plant. They are just going to try get those AKs working as soon as possible.
Yeah, and the biggest thing, too, we're seeing is, again, 2 rounds in a row, Johnny Speeds, they're the ones that are kind of playing aggressive in mid. They're trying to get a lot of, you know, map control as quickly as they can. So this is where I wonder if ENCE are getting prepared for that, or if they want to still play back and kind of wait things out. Like, even right now, you can see a player that's already pushed on A ramp, and it looks like he's actually still kind of contesting the idea of maybe even continuing, but realizes, you know what? Now, let's just play it back. I've got a lot of information. There's nobody here. We can double up in Palace and clear this out now. So this is really good information right now for Johnny Speeds. They're doing a lot of investigating into this so far. And ENCE, the only amount of map control they've really taken is, you know, for one player to be pushing down into B apartments. And that's really it. I mean, these guys are sitting in the back of mid, too, like on the outskirts of T spawn. Now, Sepik may be able to find a timing of this potentially, but look, there's a player waiting for him in the wins. Oh man, I can't believe that timing, just a split second. That is the duel you need.
Yeah, incredible find. Oh, loads of time for ENCE Academy as well to push back into this round, so not be worried. Click spotted as well. Lekro makes easy work of him. That is kind of an RNG angle, you know, if he's up on the little sofa there, I think he probably does go down, but he was ready. He was ready for that fight. And Johnny Speed's just looking so good here. Really, really sharp in the early rounds. And I don't know, 25 seconds, 3 of you left. I think you just saved, to be honest. But they are going to try and give it a go. Oh, top is nice. Echo surely goes down. He does indeed. Is the supporting cast able to keep a hold of that B bomb site here?
10 seconds.
And it looks like it. Nok really playing well. He falls, but they've dropped the bomb off the back of his fight. So that'll be good enough. Sapek to open, Sapek to close. And the flawless run of 3 in a row here for the Swedes.
Yeah, and again, like that was even a bonus round too for Johnny Speeds, right? I mean, this is where they still had some of the SMGs, and that's a really good situation for the CT side, where the economy is just going to build up more and more and more. But yeah, he being able to find that kill right through the wood pillar, I think that kind of allowed just saving the day even more, right? Kind of nailed to the coffin, like no chance at all to get that bomb down. But ENCE kind of taking things really slow so far in this game. Like, this is where I kind of wonder, maybe not this round, obviously, but it would be good to see potential, you know, tempo change, just like kind of really just changing up the game plan, considering this is a map they love playing. It seems like they're giving a ton of respect right now against Johnny Speeds, which, I mean, fair enough, but you're going to have to do something different now to get yourself back in this game. And mid control is going to be the name of the game for these guys here on the T side of ENCE. They're just going to swarm into connector. That Tech9 finally makes a good engagement, but Heath is able to find a doubled kill and a little bit of trades off, but now it's back to a 3-3 script. But you got to remember, Mility, he's very low. This is like critical HP. Like, we're talking 12.
Yeah. Not a lot to work with. Schwartz is going to have to get it done. One of the only pro Georgian players, by the way.
Oh,
cool.
cool.
Cool little fact for you.
Thank you. That is cool.
Yeah. I think there's a few. If you look them up, there's a few that have maybe played at, like, the esports World Cup type things. I'm drawing a blank. Was it WESG? Is that what they used to be called?
Yep.
World Esports Games, I think. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a few that played there. Beyond that, they've not been able to really field any players since, and that's got to be like 10 years ago that they last played or something like that. But I remember myself and Neo looking into this guy one game that we were casting ENCE Academy. So, yeah, Georgian representation is kind of cool to see. And he does deliver here. Double dink to open up the site. Get that bomb down, question mark. Oh, man, the nade doesn't finish off. That's kind of wild. 2 very low HP players then in the conversation right here, but that AWP doesn't really care. It's going to be very difficult, I think, to break into this bomb site.
Yeah, I think so too. And again, the utility is not the greatest here too for the CT side. So this is just about them hitting perfect shots. Nok has to be able to find a connection quickly, and there it is. Yeah, his teammate going down. He has to just wave the white flag. He's out of here. Honestly, really good work from ENCE. A round I did not expect him to be able to, you know, climb back into, but the fact that Nok missing that opening shot into B halls, even there, oh man, okay, but this is where we're going to have to see Nok kind of warm up a little bit more. I mean, that kind of a situation's fine. I guess it doesn't mean anything, but when they were swinging into B and he missed that opening duel, you know, to kind of trade off his teammate, that just allowed, you know, them to have the full keys to the site, really, and then that post line is so difficult to get back into, but either way, good round from ENCE and good shots. I mean, that player that was playing inside of jail from Johnny Speeds, I thought he had it dead to rights, but nah. He goes down pretty quick, and good M4 work from Schwartz, like you said, and that's where, I mean, this is now they have full rifles across the board ready to go. Johnny Speeds, though, they're still sitting pretty. They had all that money from the previous rounds, and this is a big test here for round 5.
Indeed it is. Looks to be quite a fast round. They've executed mid, now they've executed A, so they soften up the A hold by just drawing attention towards mid. Quite clever, really. Lot of damage done here.
Serious push.
Oh, man, and the push forwards. In from Schwartz. I was a fan of it, but it doesn't quite work out. Will actually be Johnny Speeds to come back with that man advantage. They're looking to try and press the attack here. You could argue on both sides. CT fully locked out. Really, really nice stuff here from the T side, despite being a man down.
Yeah, that smoke on CT is perfect too, because again, those CTs that were playing there, like, they have like no option. They have to go all the way around, and you can see they're going to swing out of jungle now. It's just a blender. They're just getting annihilated every path they try to choose, but all of a sudden, not able to finally get a little bit of a connection with this AWP. Makes things interesting for the 2-2, but the time is just getting low. Now the CTs, once again, they have to run away, run to the hills, and they're just going to have to save these guns as much as possible. But ENCE's going to be able to find 2 in a row, and thankfully, you know, they actually, you know, like I said, they had to change the tempo, and indeed they are. They're doing a good job of just going for the basic A-pop. I love that play. I love that attempt. Like you said, I was agreeing with you. I thought that was actually a very big potential for a multi-kill, but kind of fumbles it a little bit. But he, thankfully there to kind of, back his teammate, because, I mean, his teammate would have been dead, like, no question. But nonetheless, ENCE kind of making things more of an interesting conversation here as we get into map 1. And now we're starting to see a little bit of life into them, Scrib. This is what I was, hoping for. I was getting a little bit nervous at one point.
Yeah, no, that is true. The early rounds just look very, very sharp. And sometimes I think when you've been around the block a few times, and watched plenty of Counter-Strike, you just see some early shots and you're like, okay, if they can't respond to these kinds of fights, then it's kind of over. And I'm sure we've seen plenty of that. Or even if they just can't respond early enough and it goes like 8-0, then there's no way to get back into a game like that more often than not. So, yeah, I was certainly worried as well. Nork taking matters into his own hands here, as he does get that up into short and able to just drop back a really clean entry.
Yeah, and this is what I wanted to see too from like someone like Knock, right? Because again, like being that opera, you need to be able to find some plays and you have to kind of find these openings as much as possible. So thankfully, just a good calculation on the cat. Just, you saw kind of the little bit of calculation when he went for the swing. He didn't just immediately did it. He kind of waited things out. It was a perfect timing because the player he was able to take was Matt. So he had a nade out in his hands. But now you see ENCE kind of scrambling a little bit more with some ideas. Utility getting thrown a little bit, so jungle's going to be blocked off. Molotov's getting thrown here too, so this is just going to be the ace split. Schwartz is going to be waiting side mid as well, but Miller's going to expect this. Oh man, the missed shot. That's going to be an open avenue here for the Pistols. And oh, look at this. Johnny speeds. They speed through this round so quick and shut this down in ENCE. They have no reply, and all 5 players stay alive here for Johnny. So this is great in the sense that they get some free rifles out of it.
Yeah, really sharp find. Really, really big round, I think, coming in as well. And again, just brings ENCE Academy crashing back down to reality that it's like, you're going to have to work for every single round against this Johnny Speeds team. They're never written off. Even when you might think, or even when you are feeling good about how your past couple rounds have worked. You don't need much to take a round. And I think also they do have that capability of like 1 or 2 individuals having a crazy round, and ENCE Academy, having caught them once or twice in the past couple of months, I think they have pretty good structure, a lot of team play, as a lot of these academy teams do, because that's just the immediate MO of an academy team, that it's like, okay, we're going to play like the top guys, we're going to build up structure and team play and all this. Whereas obviously a lot of tier 2 teams can just be built using crazy fraggers. It's a slightly different energy when you play in an academy team. So they tend to have like really nice rounds and great protocols and all these kind of buzzwords, but maybe not that X factor, maybe not the sharpshooting that they sometimes need, because take it down to the bare bones, CS can be about just clicking head. Yeah. And it's about finding the balance between those two things, I think. They do a lot of damage to kick off this round, though.
They do, yeah, and it is a good point you bring up, because again, you can have all the best protocols in the world and strategies, but at the end of the day, like, you're gonna have to have some of this firepower to kind of back up everything you're prepping for. So I couldn't agree with you more. Oh, Sepik, oh man, he's in a tight position. He's gonna be behind default. Actually repositions. A little bit of time he's been able to grab up. You can see that ENCE now trying to go for this connector control. Smoke's gonna allow them to cross, and they actually find the opening duel. So that player underneath is down now. He actually catches the leg of Miller, but now it's a question of just staying alive, and thankfully Knock saving the day here. Both these ops just trying to swing and hit some home runs, and they're just going to go for a full commit. They're trying to stop this plant, but it's going to go down 4-4. And Jokup actually taking a long time for this rotate. He knows that somebody's lurking around, and his spidey senses are correct. Schwartz is actually, again, in the backside of mid here on Cat. But triple player now going to be switching from CT. Electro, look at that, a 1-2 combination. Leaves it just down to 2. This is problematic, Scrib. This is not a good situation at all. The timer's getting low, and these guys have to commit to the fuse now. This is going to be a problem, and look at this. ENCE, they don't have any reply to it. They can't swing this, and Johnny Speeds, they get themselves that 5th round.
Yeah, dicey for a moment. They do see it off. Oh, wow. And the touchdown nade in like the last half second of the post-round timer. That's a difficult pill to swallow for sure. So yeah, ENCE Academy almost feels like they're right back to square one. Little better. They get the bomb plant on a lost round. You know, this was something that was missing in the very early days. But it's tough. It is tough, and
yeah,
they have to fight against the uphill battle and the reality of it. Timeout comes in. Got the boy Whitey on the comms, who is their coach and has been for a very long time. Bit of a legend in the UK scene.
I was gonna say he's from the UK, right?
Yeah. And he managed to get plucked out, as it were. He was a bit of a character, as far as I'm aware. I didn't know him personally, but someone that maybe it would have been cool to know personally. But I think he was pretty big during the COVID times, which, you know, of course, was a sad time where you didn't get to really see people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels like it's a long time ago now. It's kind of weird. I think that was so many years ago, but we'll see what the coach was able to whisper in their ears and say, look, things that have to improve. This round, a bit more of a dicey one in the sense of just Tech 9s and pistols, but you still have the lurk here from Miller, just kind of on the outskirts and mid, and then you have everybody else just kind of waiting for this A-pop, and oh man, Nox just getting fed. No trades at all from ENCE. They don't really seem to have any idea where to shoot, and yeah, perfect, you know, easy setup here from the CT side. Very much a gimme round. Really, they were just kind of hoping, I think, you know, to get that bomb down, get that money moving, but ain't the case. Not happening, but Johnny Speeds now put themselves on 6, so this is a really nice position for them, considering, again, we talked about this map, and their, you know, their statistics on it, relatively not bad. Their CT side is normally their weaker end, which is kind of interesting considering they're playing pretty well so far, but I think I agree with you in the beginning. The firepower from ENCE, it just has to get ramped up better now.
Bit more tension in the air for this round, as I think ENCE are in a position where they're agreeing with you. You know, they know that this is a pretty important turning point, particularly if it does go against them.
Oh, man. Look at Heat, man. He's already gotten so much control. He's got all the information in the world.
Yeah. Oh. And maybe just heard, I guess from his POV we heard it, so
yeah,
surely got to have heard the bomb being dropped.
I think so. And that's why you're seeing the double up on A and then the double up in mid like this, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Picks up a kill there and is able to safely back away. And we know that. He's a little tentative about some positions, but we know that he's very, very safe, and that just throws a real spanner in the works for the ENCE Academy plans.
Well, and it's interesting, too, that ENCE, like, you can see actually now they're like, okay, hang on, let's clear this out, because they have, like, an inkling that he could be here. So he's in a position to find this 1, maybe 2. No, he's going to get instantly traded out. But again, finding that duel is so big because now his 2 teammates are already close into the site. Zapik now already close into underpass, and there's Knock once again. Yeah, this is already a scrap. This is looking not the greatest situation. Already cut off here. So things are getting from worse to even more negative, and Knock once again finds himself a double. He has just popped off, right? I mean, I was giving him a little bit of criticism here, and all of a sudden, Scriv, he's sitting in a 17-2. So this guy, he's fragging. He's getting some duels.
Yeah. He is going crazy. The numbers are wild. I think this was always the bit of a problem with Knock. He's very, and there's a lot of players like this, very good at punching down, as it were. But the ceiling was the thing that he kind of struggled to break. And I think that's something that we maybe saw at the very, very top end. You have to bear in mind. At this sort of level, you would expect him to farm, is the difficult thing.
True.
Particularly on such an impactful role as the AWP, which is kind of exactly what he's doing. So, yeah, a really great pickup for Johnny Speeds. I think combined with Freiburg, at the very least, a fresh pair of eyes. I don't know that he was just a cerebral player in his day, but I think certainly good to still see him around, and he's obviously having an impact here as well.
Yeah, it is a good point, because that's where I was mentioning, I think that was like round 3 or 4 where we saw a couple shots from Knock where he was missing it, and I was like, okay, like if he's having that off day, that is a good opportunity for ENCE to be able to find some openings potentially, right? Because when your opera's just not making the connections he needs to, that does make things, problematic in the sense for the CT side. So that's where I was thinking ENCE maybe could take advantage of it, but no, it was a short-lived little bit of a conspiracy I came up with, I guess, and Knock decided to farm, like you said, and kind of got himself back in fighting form. But ENCE back on pistols, man. This has been kind of the tail of the tape for these guys. They really haven't seemed to have a lot of abilities to get these rifles out and kind of showcasing what they can do. But they got the utility, so this could even just be the potential A fake, and then this is where you see the bomb and a couple other players looking to go for a B execute. Smoke's going to dissipate on B, so now they're going to try to swing into this. Nades are getting thrown here on A, but it might be a little too late because already the B players are making a ton of noise. So now Jokab actually does find the opener, but oh, hang on! Oh, these Tech 9s, they do find a little bit of success now. That bomb doesn't have to commit towards B, it's by itself. And now the rotates get a little bit awkward here, Script, for these CT players. You can see both of them are actually heavily leaning on B. This fake is actually working really well. That bomb, it has to hightail through spawn now.
Yeah, got to make it all the way back round, and there is something a bit scary that stands between them and the A-bomb site. No utility here. There's that little flash that goes in, and Nork lands his flick, but he equally takes one in the cranium. They're going to get that plant in. It's all down to Heap. They have good knowledge on him coming from B as well. This is a very, very doable round now, of course. They've strengthened their weaponry. Should be able to see this off. Lovely little post-plant crossfire. Feels kind of unbeatable, honestly. As Heap should have his back turned to at least one of these players. And he does. They will both unload on him. And that third round coming through. So an unlikely one that could actually spur them forwards into a pretty serviceable half now if they can just string these next couple rounds together.
Yeah, and that was the thing that was so awkward about that too. Like, I was kind of wondering why you had the players from ENCE that were kind of throwing this like A-pop, like trying to fake things out. But then you had the other B players just running before even that utility was used. So I was a little bit unsure what the idea was, but look, it works. Like, they were able to hit the shots. They were able to find those connections. You had two of the players from Johnny Speeds that were playing very close on that kind of position. So actually a really good timing for ENCE. Now maybe timing could be here because this AK is just going to swing onto Cat. But oh man, the rifles from the CT side. They find the opening duels. It's a 2-on-1 trade. So not a good situation here for ENCE. Now you already have Knock. He's already pushed on to Ticket. He does find himself this one at least. But still that man advantage here for the CT side. Bomb's already making the long rotate through this. It's into Palace and looking for a timing on this. But all of a sudden now Miller by himself on a 1-on-3 task. Not an easy one, but lots of time to work with. Might be able to find some low-hanging fruit of these players if they decide to play this uncoordinated. That will help. And now he has to find two more. Oh my goodness, almost finds a gimme. But now Molotov going to push him out. And Lekro saving the day. And Johnny back up to 8. So a pretty strong first half that has already commenced so far in these 12 rounds that we've had. Or going into 11.
Lovely look, of course, but yeah, I think this is the big C word that we talk about a lot in the world of Counter-Strike, and that is consistency. And ENCE Academy, unfortunately, just lacking some of that. I think one of the key things to remember about the previous round is it maybe is, or the round prior to that one, it maybe is a Johnny Speeds loss more than it is an ENCE Academy win. You know, if you're really being cynical about it, and I think ENCE Academy is struggling to figure out where the round wins come from at the moment. Lekro. Advanced position. Not the first time someone's tried to get aggressive in the apartments. So I think by the look of this Mac 10 and everyone grouping up patiently, they're very, very ready for some aggression to have come in. Does get one. Oh, nearly moved off, but the crosshair doesn't quite line up. He's all alone over there as well, so they're going to go bursting into the site itself, and it gets very chaotic over here. He, arguably a risk taken, but I guess feels confident, as he would. 5-7 comes round for 2, and it's all going to be on Miller T. He's got that bomb recovered, but he's got 4 players to get through. starting with the scary heap. He does find that, but surely no more. Surely will go down here, and indeed it is the case. 9-3 at the turn of the half. Really not going to be good enough from ENCE Academy. Their map pick as well. Severely struggling here, as we'll have to see how things continue after the break.
Well, it seems like Johnny Speeds are staying true to their name, as it's a 9-3 on the first half where they were able to just kind of bulldoze things. And now it's going to be going to the second half here for map number 1. And ENCE Academy looking like they're a little bit stuck in the mud, not looking like their best form yet here, Scriv. But maybe, like, you know, that little bit of a break, getting on the second half, maybe can be turning over a new leaf.
Yeah, potentially. Pistol can always save a team, I think. It is safe to say. I'm definitely curious to see what the turnaround might look like here for ENCE Academy. Of course, their map pick, I don't know, you'd maybe expect a bit more out from the T side of, you know, a very high rep map for them. So now moving into the CT, it's going to have to be a pretty different team, I think, to kick things off. And Johnny Speeds are trying not to let them get any room. That is a ridiculous shot from Nork to open up proceedings. The Sapek here as well at short, looking to hold the line. Nearly catches one rotating. Not quite. Probably a kill he should have had, but he's a thorn in the side. He's being really annoying here to just completely slow them down. They're not afraid to take the fights at the very least. Can he get any here before going down? And I think with that, he should actually... Okay, I was going to say have a good chance at surviving, but not the case. He does fall. They're just so far away from the bomb site here, lads. I don't really see any chance for ENCE Academy to, like, break the defensive wall, as it were.
Yeah, I really love the point that you bring up, too, for Sapek. Like, I think he played that perfectly. Again, he was just, like you said, he was being annoying. He's being a bit of a pest. He's just, like, finding multiple different players in duels. Like, you have the double player in window, then you have the guy on cat. So he did a great job just kind of, you know, slowing this rotate through for the CT side. They got super distracted. They wanted to take him out. They couldn't. So that just burned the timer on the C4. So huge, right? I mean, this is where, again, just kind of manipulation a little bit in that first opening round, and that shot from Knock, I agree, that was ridiculous. The fact that he found it, I mean, that just gave them, again, that free sight, which I felt like that was a close encounter, but you know, it could have missed that shot, but Knock thankfully gets it done. Force coming through from ENCE, though. They have to. I mean, this is kind of, they're running out of options here, Scriv. They don't have a lot of room to work with. They got to kind of in a sense, throw a little bit of a Hail Mary. They got to do something now. Otherwise, it's all over.
Yeah, it's really as simple as that, isn't it? It's looking to be a very one-sided affair on the Mirage. Johnny Speeds, again, continuing the argument that they could potentially be one of the best teams, if not the best, looking at the rest of the field within this cup. There's still a little bit of time to go. I believe, is it Thursday? Yeah, so Thursday for that grand finals. So there's still a good number of games between now and then. But I think they look pretty scary, to be honest. The fact that Unity and Mana are going to have to face off against each other again in the lower bracket side of things could really make their life nice and easy. Johnny Speeds. Can they see it over here, though? On Mirage, Militie's got other things to say. And there is still the 5-7 of Mats getting involved as well. So 2 versus 1 doesn't feel super healthy. Schwartz has kind of fully baited his team out, really. That's what his position is all about. Sneaking round, quick kill. Gonna leave it all on to Lekro. He's nice and healthy and ready for this 1 versus 1. A really big moment for Schwartz. Maybe on the cards if he can just squeeze out this kill. He's trying to find the head. He saw Lekro, but Lekro still takes him down. That's crazy, the timings on all of that. But that is experience. Over age, really, getting a big 1v1.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, again, just a little bit of experience, and you can see how well, like, Lekro is just cool, calm, and collected, right? I mean, he just really maintained his good position. He didn't get, you know, he wasn't overly swinging. He was just kind of waiting things out. He had good timing and just, like, repositions. So, yeah, again, that's where it does kind of prevail a little bit. But a good attempt from ENCE, like a very close encounter down to the 1v1. But now, again, this is all about them just depleting the bank account. They have to spend everything they can to getting themselves still in this game. Mid-aggression is going to be the name of the game here for round number 15. And now the rifles are starting to make a little bit more of a connection. Now this is what we wanted to see from ENCE. Finally winning some duels, but there's Knock right there to find the double. And all of a sudden, this man advantage has just shifted away. And somehow, Johnny Speeds, they find themselves back into the advantage. And it's just all down to Miller by themselves on a 1-on-2. Knock is critically low with 33. But he's got some time, but this investigating could be costly. And Knock, who other than him to be able to find the triple? 25-4, Scriv. And now they're a map point. And things are looking pretty grim right now for ENCE. And they're going to have to pull the run of a century here if they have any sort of a conversation with getting back in this game. But I think it could be all over now.
Yeah, for sure. Knock, that is an insane round. The double spray down is just crazy. 25-4 is
a farmer.
Yeah, just kill stat line I've not seen for a long time, to be honest. In a game this short as well, you know? Like, he does not have... Not only is it, oh, sure, he's not dying, he's also got to get in there to get the kills because there's just not that many rounds, you know? He's really got to push everybody else out of the way, it feels like. And we might be done quite quickly here. Sapek to lead the charge. That is really insult to injury. The MAC-10 getting the better of the FAMAS. Fire rate far too high. 5-on-3. Bomb site secure. Bomb not planted just yet. So maybe the time they've been given here could make a big difference. Not going to check that corner. I mean, why would you? Heap with the team kill. He gets both, and he also takes Sapek behind them, but Johnny Speeds have just written it off. It never really got going in that second half, especially. And the first half just not good enough to give ENCE Academy enough room, lads.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, the big amount of work from Knock, you know, obviously easy to talk about him sitting at like 26 kills overall, but yeah, I just felt like, again, the experience, a lot of good preparation, again, the conversation we talked about for Johnny Speeds and kind of what their mission has been so far and like trying to get into the major contention and being that team that's really close. I mean, they've been on the grind, and it's very, very clear where they've actually been able to showcase that very well. And ENCE, unfortunately, get a little bit of a taste of some very bad medicine, but their map pick goes away, which now means that this goes into Johnny Speed territory, which this could be, you know, very scary for a young team like this, where now they're going to have to kind of pull the reverse sweep if, you know, they want to find a win column.
Yeah, going to take a lot of effort here, I think, for ENCE Academy to get this one over. And as we talked about very early on that map, are they good enough? Can they shoot back against Johnny Speeds? And I think, unfortunately, ENCE Academy might have had that question. So we've got the Overpass coming up next, but a break in between. And we are back in Overpass coming up. A personal favourite of mine. Do enjoy a good Overpass cast when it does deliver. It's a question of whether this one is going to deliver, I think. ENCE Academy, anything but on map number 1. Really quite tough for them. There were some sparks in the first half, but the second half, once Johnny Speeds are on that T side, which I often say is an area you can just control the game, happens a lot in the tier 2, where you just sometimes a team is not ready for your T-side. They've not seen this level of T-side almost. It's a very steep learning curve and quite a difficult lesson for them, and you just get flattened, and I think that's exactly what we had happen on map 1.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, it was a good little bit of a masterclass in, you know, the sense of like Johnny Speeds and what they can bring, and like that experience and the mix of like, you know, older players and younger players. But, you know, ENCE Academy, yeah, like you said, a little bit of sparks in the beginning. Kind of felt like it fizzled pretty quickly, especially with someone like Knock, like we said. I mean, putting up 26 kills with only 4 deaths, and you know, sitting at pretty much 153 ADR is definitely going to help. He really kind of had a bit of a slow start in those first, 3-4 rounds, and then all of a sudden it was just, you know, full speed ahead. The guy was just back to fighting form. He was just popping off. He made them look like they didn't even deserve to be there. So it's a good thing you love to see from your opper. That's where you said a good point about it's kind of the expectation he should be, because he's always been like that high caliber player, but it's good to see that he actually just, you know, was able to kind of showcase what he really does bring to this roster. He has only been on the team for give or take a month, but still going to feel really good for him. And now as we go over to Overpass, I mean, like you said, it can be a really good map. I'm expecting a lot of the Johnny Speeds here, considering that, I mean, they've been on a very much of a win streak on this map. I mean, they haven't been able to see a loss on this for quite some time. They've been able to beat quite a few different teams as well. Like, you know, Alliance is a team that I thought was interesting just because Alliance has been on my radar a lot, considering that they've been also kind of, you know, going for the major run as well and trying to get as many points and, you know, experience as they can. But we're on the other side of it, whereas, you know, ENCE Academy, it's not been the greatest for these guys in a map that is, you know, played for them. But you can see the Johnny Speed, you know, a little bit of statistics here, 24-9 Scrib. Like, that is a good stat to have on a map like this.
Yeah, I think that's certainly safe to say. Overpass is a map where I think you can really dominate given the chance, and I think that is going to be the case here. That CT side as well, super CT sided, so ENCE are going to have to put up a good enough defense. One thing that is a bit interesting actually is I just, you know, have a quick look and get it under the microscope. Johnny Speeds with more T side rounds on average than CT side, which is crazy. I think they might be an outlier in that sense, and that could be a very, very valuable thing. It is a pretty overwhelmingly, for a lot of teams, close to 60% of their rounds coming from the CT side. So that's a pretty overwhelmingly CT-sided map in the grand scheme. I didn't actually really think of that or note that. I was just having a little look at like who they'd faced off against recently. But yeah, so that's something to watch for sure, that they might actually get a much stronger start to this map than you would first think.
Yeah, definitely. And it's where, you know, I think for ENCE Academy too, like you said, like a lot of teams feels like normally it feels like their CT side should be kind of the money maker. That should be the area that they're doing a little bit better on. But I feel like for ENCE, or for Johnny Speed, sorry, it's like it's pretty well, you know, considering like their CT is their stronger point, but like you said, the fact that their T side seems to be more of the times they actually win rounds is definitely something exciting to see, considering they're going to be on the T side on this map. So I am curious what they're going to be able to bring to the table here. But this is where ENCE, I mean, again, like a 4-4 record on it. They've had some like not bad wins. They've had some like close losses, like Metasport. They like lost, I think that was like a 16-14 loss, I think like earlier in the month or last month. But that's where, yeah, I mean, again, like the experience is like a little bit lacked in the sense of Johnny Speeds, where again they've been on a huge bit of a heater on this one. They've taken some losses against like, you know, M80, like X Ruby, and K27, but you know, again, those were all spread apart. So I think for Johnny Speeds, they are in a really, really good, you know, conversation position right now for being that 2-0. But unless ENCE pull up a miracle here, which would be really sick to see.
Yeah, it would, but we've got to see if they can get there. Heap going to open up at range with that Glock. They try and get aggressive in the face. Doesn't work out. Schwartz blinded up as he sticks around here, and he will go down. A bit of cover from behind. Teme does damage, but no kill. And that's obviously what they need right here. So, despite lining things up a little bit and caught for maybe a second or two, they come out on top. Johnny Speeds with a really fantastic spot to be in. Should absolutely be able to close this out from here.
Yeah, they should. And again, really good teamwork for them to react to that situation too. Like even just going for that duel into long. They all just kind of group up and just swarm out of long A as well and refight for it with the paw flash as well, just in case. Another CT's there, and then they find 2 more kills for their favor. So a little bit of a bit of a misplay, I would say, from ENCE, in the sense that it didn't really feel like the greatest little bit of a setup on long. Like, they put a lot of reliance on Miller to be able to find that opening duel, but doesn't go their way. Now it's a big test here. You can see that Johnny, they're just going to be able to bombard the site, and there's only one player, which is Matt, so he's close on by, but these smokes are going to make it a bit problematic. Bomb does go down. So is he going to be able to find this, you know, bit of a rotator? This could be interesting. If he wins this, I mean, CT does have the shadow advantage. Doesn't even matter, Scriv. Oh, man. Even the dualies, these Glocks are just running hot.
Yeah, they are indeed. Mats goes down. Keep getting it done on the USP. So we've got plenty of weaponry coming into the conversation in that round, but a flawless pistol to kick it off. Just not what you wanted, right? And they get aggressive. They try and put their best foot forward in that round to kick off a fresh map. You know, forget about the last one, guys. Let's just take it from here. And that happens, right? You get absolutely rolled in multiple different ways. Glocks at range. You kind of had them caught at the beginning. 3 of you stacked on top of each other. Couldn't even get a kill between you. Yeah, just not really good. And in an objective sense, I think they're going to know about that for sure. There's no positives you can take away.
Yeah, not at all. And right now they're going to group up towards B and just kind of, again, just play MBK and see what they can be able to find maybe with these pistols. And this is good. Like, I like the fact they're kind of just grouping together. Now they actually decide to swing, and actually it does actually kind of work out a little bit in terms of the quick trade, but now it's looking problematic. And yeah, there we go. Johnny Speeds, they know what the jig is. They get it all done. Lose only 1 player. That's fine. It's not going to break too much of a sweat considering the first pistol was a flawless, like you said. But not a bad idea. A little bit creative in just the sense of just trying to re-swing. They were hoping more players would be close so those pistols could do a little bit more damage. But now, this is the big test. Now we got the M4s out. Okay, a lot of A4s. This is interesting. I mean, for NA and SA, for me, like, still a lot of, like, A1S players. It feels like the A4 wasn't still kind of making its comeback, but good to see. You know, I'm a big A4 user. I love it.
Yeah, fair enough. I can respect it. I've always enjoyed the A1S. I also think it's just so much, like, easier to use. I'm maybe a little bit lazy. Unfortunately, you know, it's just easier to follow the spray pattern and everything. I don't have to do as much homework, I guess, in that sense. They are the same, obviously, but you know what I mean? Like, just within the spray, you can kind of correct yourself and be like, oh, that's not quite on. It's just so much simpler to use. But the A4, as a defensive weapon, can be way better. And we're about to see, maybe, Click does get backed up by Schwartz, but there's not really too much happening on this B-bomb site. For ENCE, I maybe speak a bit too soon. Very, very low for Schwartz, but he has found 2 to make this doable, lads.
Yeah, and I mean, again, with still lots of time remaining here, too, with the bomb in the back, still not a bad position here for Johnny Speeds, but now double boost is going to come through. Schwartz gets spotted, but just can't hit the shot. Joker maybe with the timing finds this one. Yeah, that's going to be an issue. Bomb's actually making a bit of a runaway on this. Joker has to be really careful in this duel because if he goes down, this could be a bit of an issue. Both these players are critically low, 29 HP combined. And Miller does have himself still a winnable opportunity. Fake plant comes through, still kind of toying a little bit. Now they can both actually kind of, you know, backtail this out and actually play a little bit more of a cluttered setup. Miller's trying to get himself as close as possible. Should be able to find this early duel. Now just wondering where Jokab could be. But again, he's holding position, not over-peaking this. But now Miller, good investigation, but can't be able to land the shot when needed. And Johnny Speeds continue on with their winning ways, even through the thick and thin of a round like that.
Yeah, no, it is true. And I mean, that's a really big test for them as well. And the fact that they are able to take that is just a testament to perhaps the game that we have on the cards here. So, very, very much curious to kind of find out what ENCE Academy might have up their sleeve. I mean, an early timeout taken here. I think fair enough. Obviously, it's been a very rough series thus far. And you come really close in the previous round. So, try and even things out. Try and, on the fly, figure out what went right in that round and how you can replicate that. It's going to take a bit of time to get back to a good defensible situation because, of course, their cash is just not in the right place right now. But quickly able to prove to themselves they can still fight back. You know, it's not a done deal. It's not over just yet. And this is the flip side of the academy teams. I think the mental can struggle sometimes because they just don't have that experienced voice to keep them on the same page.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Again, like with the younger teams where they don't have the experience and the reps, where they kind of been through the thick and thin, like some of these other players like Johnny Speeds have. So that's a really good point, especially when the going's getting tough. You gotta have to find a way to kind of get over the hurdle and get yourself back into the game. But it's been rough, right? I mean, they were only able to find, 3 rounds on the previous game. It's just, it wasn't a really great affair for them. It just was a bit of a landslide for Johnny Speeds. But we'll see if they can do anything a little bit different. A bit more of like a lighter investment with the Deegs and just the MP9. But you can see it's a triple player setup on long A. So a lot more of an A lean on this. Sole anchor of Mats here in B. And Johnny Speeds, they know that something's up. Taking this very slow and actually loses the first fight. So Teme is actually able to find the opening duel, which is huge because then, again, just give it some time. They can pick up a rifle at least. But Johnny Speeds, they're not even committing to this fight. They're actually just still kind of committed into this washroom control.
Yeah, I was going to say they have a decision to make in a sense. Lecro with a light coverage of the rifle at the very least. Does take one back, but it's short-lived. Mility's behind him. Able to pick up that AK. So keep your eyes on it. We have 2 players with armor. Mility is not one of them. So that could make a big old difference here with the aim punch. Click, I think, trying to stay alive and hope that that AK delivery comes in for him as they start to hit the A bomb site. We'll take ahead. Maybe he just needs the deagle. The reswing not quite as good. Mility semi-overlooked, but there it is. The aim punch gets in the way. And Nork, thankful for it. That could have been the big moment. The well-timed flank from long. Doesn't quite happen. And a round that starts off pretty well for ENCE Academy. They just can't figure out a way to capitalize.
Yeah, they just can't capitalize, and then they also just can't hit these shots. Again, granted, yes, they didn't have the best weapons in that kind of a situation, but they really just couldn't seem to get finding those, 2 duels. It just felt like that was all it. There was nothing really else to work off of. But now, for round number 5, a lot more at stake for this one. Miller actually does have the op ready to go. Looks like a lot of utility going to be burned into middle. So we'll see if they actually want to fight for control of this. But look at how fast that Johnny Speeds. They're actually going to get this fountain control pretty quickly and, again, easily. And Knock even wins the opening duel. So that op and op head off. It will go for Johnny Speeds. Instant trade back, though. So still 4-4. But a great nade lands on top of Schwartz. So now he has to kind of reposition himself, re-aggress. Yeah, and it's just down to his grave. So Johnny already finding 2 big kills early in this round. I mean, we're talking like a minute and 20, it felt like, and now it's still 4-on-3. This is not a good situation for ENCE because now you have to kind of figure out, okay, do we re-aggress? Do we try to do something a little bit different in this kind of a situation, being down the man? Do we just try to gamble stack this with like a 2-and-1, which is what they're currently doing? This is not an easy position because now you're kind of hoping that Johnny Speeds is going to kind of commit to this A site, and then they kind of fall into a little bit of a mousetrap, so to speak, in the sense of the double player committed to this. But Johnny Speeds, I mean, they're still waiting things out. They are playing this very patiently. They are not moving a muscle.
Yeah, winding it down. Tedious to play against, but can be very, very effective. And a semi-lurk feel to that smoke. Molotov as well. It's slow build up here, and that just puts you on alert, but not quite wanting to dedicate all your resources in. Teme tries from behind Dice, but epically fails, to be honest. It's Click, the only one left. They know about him, and they probably know he's low. So he looks for the save. The round will go the way of Johnny Speeds, and it is starting to really get hard now for ENCE Academy to get into these rounds and to stem the bleeding of this scoreline.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't love that swing from Mats. I believe it was right in the A site. Like, just kind of goes for this big old hero swing, hoping he might be able to find like a multi-kill. Like, just, you know, the spray doesn't connect at all. He just goes down. And I was thinking with the 2 players committed to the site, they could try to play a little bit of a crossfire if they could. But that over ENCE swing, I felt like that just really kind of pulled the rug under these guys for any sort of an argument, like locking down that site and putting down some closer numbers. But Johnny Speeds really, again, giving us a good presentation here of what they're bringing on Overpass. We talked about how many times they've been able to play this map and kind of the win streak they've been bringing to this. It's definitely a sight to behold right now, Script, because, I mean, it's a good learning opportunity for ENCE, unfortunately, being on the receiving end of this, but they're going to have to work with, like, limited funds, and you maybe got a FAMAS here and there, but again, it's not a good position to be in, and this is where they have to mix things up. They've tried long A commitments, but now do they try to really aggressive mid this time? As I said, Click actually does get himself kind of past Sandbag, but it's not much more than that, and he actually falls back from this aggression too, so even for all that effort and all the HP he lost, it just kind of feels like it's not even worth it.
No, totally agreed, actually. Boost is nice. Oh, Sapek nearly doubles up with the timing. That's wild. Really big that they're able to take him down and just keep the numbers as even as possible. The AK can trade hands. Back into the 4 versus 4, though. And once again, a switch up from Johnny Speeds as they look to hit A. Seemed pretty vulnerable in the previous round. Looking to keep that the case. The FAMAS, however, could be scary, and they're looking to kind of awkwardly stack on top of each other. I'm a fan of the setup over there. It is sad because it's not going to see too much action. Click has found himself in towards short water here. This could get a little frisky. He's going to be checked out. That was the one big thing. I think if they were lazy and they don't check him, he could have done some damage. The unfortunate thing is the rest of the rotators are nowhere near B.
Yeah, they just aren't, right? And you got the FAMAS and AK still in this, but no kits. So really not a great situation for the CT side. It just feels like you should just probably save this. I mean, Miller maybe to look for a bit of an adventure, maybe try to find an exit if possible. And that might be the case in this one. Keep the rifles. They're just going to bend and chip. They're out of here. So this is really about Miller. I'm going to be curious of maybe finding a timing, getting maybe a gun, but again, it's looking pretty unlikely, right? I mean, he's just kind of hoping someone's going to overswing to him. But good work from Johnny. I love that, again, there's been a really good mixture of like some fast play. They've taken their time. It's been a lot of guessing here for ENCE Academy, which they're really in their heads. Like, you can tell that Johnny Speeds are doing a great job in the sense of just mixing up their playbook. ENCE Academy don't really have the right idea of what they do. It seems like any idea they try just backfires almost, it feels like, immediately. So even like right there, like you said, like Sapek almost able to find a double, like just the timings, it just, you can really tell why these guys have an 8 or 9 win streak on this map. It just, this is their playground, man. Like, this is their, you know, territory for sure. And now ENCE Academy back into the guns. We have to see something different. Now that Ob's back out, that's going to be interesting for Miller. This is where I want to be able to see, do they actually play aggressive in mid, look for that opening duel? That could be maybe the kickstart they need.
Very possibly. Let's nade on to Teme to kick things off here. But quieter beginning towards B. Still keeping attention on A, and they've read it well. The adjustment is over on the A side of things. Thank goodness for that trade, but Mats, it feels like he definitely should have had that one, honestly. That is a broken spray down for the man that is yet to frag. May well start to get very frustrated with himself, I think. 4-on-4 as the dust settles it.
Yeah, it could definitely be pretty tilting, right? Especially when you can't seem to find any duel at all, and it just feels like the firepower right now for ENCE Academy is just, it's not really living up to the hype that we know, right? This is typically where they can be a little bit more dangerous, but they're definitely meeting their maker right now against Johnny Speeds. And now Miller finally gets a little bit of life back into him, so he does get his team here, the 4-on-3, so that's a good kill. But now the rotates have to come through, because Johnny Speeds realizing, okay, look, we got 33 seconds, we got to get a move on, let's just commit to the site. And now Teme might be able to find some multi-kill here, just playing into the swamp. Some thick waters, and now Electro can't even seem to be able to find it. This might be the round needed finally from ENCE, and there it is. Teme able to get himself that double. The star player that we were talking about on this team finally gives a little bit of something here, that extra little bit of a push, and they finally get that goose egg removed, and they find their first round on the board.
Yes, sir. Despite a shakier kind of start, it does go very well in the end. Johnny Speeds, they try something a bit different with the B hit, not the side that they've been favoring for the vast majority of this, especially in those rifle rounds, and it doesn't work out for them. So we'll see if they go back to the tried and true. Still, obviously, in an insane position scoreline-wise. 6 rounds already on the T side feels really good. If they can continue, if they can just completely reset ENCE Academy here, it could be a totally different story. Oh, man. Zapek looking again for his walkout shot. Doesn't find anything this time around. It was only a 1-for-1 last time, but he likes disrupting them over there as they go for that boost.
What a swing, too, right? I mean, now they're starting to kick it up another gear. Swartz has to get himself out of this. Good nade, actually, maybe. No, it's not going to connect, and Jokab's right there. Man, they just seem to be in the right place at the right time, Johnny Speeds, and now ENCE, they had themselves a little bit of sigh of relief, and now it seems like it's right back into these deep waters. Timmy, though, a single anchor into this A site, double player in B. That bomb's still way in the back and middle, so no decisions made yet from Johnny Speeds. And this is what they've done, right? I mean, they just kind of post up, they wait things out just to see if any like over ANSI play comes from the CT side. Then finally grouping back up. So it's going to be a B pop. But this could be interesting. Both CTs are grouped together, so they're playing behind barrel. This could be a little bit of a shake and bake moment. Actually, that molly misses too, so that's not great here from Electro. So that maybe gives the CT something to do, but Mats finally finds himself the first kill. Now needing to pop off, but unfortunately, it's only going to be the one. And now Teme, I think he's just, again, going to have to retreat this and maybe, you know, hope for the next round he might be able to find something. Keep that AK, the utility, and everything in his pocket. But Johnny Speeds, boy oh boy, Scriv, this is a really interesting, you know, game in the sense of just watching their T side. I've been really a big fan and just kind of in a lot of awe just in the sense of like how well they've been mixing up their play, what they're doing. It's not overly complicated, right? I mean, it just feels like it's so smooth.
Yeah, for sure. I think the key thing here is just the fact that if they get a man advantage, they can convert. You know, if they get that first kill, they can really just keep you at arm's length, stop you from getting back in, and they have great finishing moves, you know, great late round moves, I think. So it's very, very effective in that sense, and ENCE Academy have to be careful, because on the one hand, they want to get aggressive, at the one hand, they want to try and establish some presence on the CT side, but if they fail in that, there feels like no way back into the round. If it even goes, you know, equal kills, a lot of the time that doesn't feel like enough, so they have to be careful on the aggression, but then if they are playing too passive, that's obviously giving Johnny Speeds too much room, and they're able to create kills quite well in those more predictable setups, you know, that you might be working. So it's a very, very tough one here, I think, for ENCE Academy. Johnny Speeds, as I noted, and as seems prevalent, they've got themselves a pretty effective T-side here.
Yeah, and that's what makes it really fun, right? Because, I mean, I think, you know, there's probably a lot of mixed opinions about a map like Overpass where, you know, I think a lot of people... I think there's, like, some people that really appreciate the technicalities of it, and then there's a lot of people who are like, I hate Overpass. It sucks. It's not that great. But when you kind of, like, break it down in the sense of, like, what teams can bring on the T side, that's what makes it really interesting, right? I mean, I think that's probably more the, like, analytical, you know, data stuff and, you know, the nerdy micro macro stuff that I get really excited about. But watching a team like this and just kind of how they're moving around the map and how well they're able to take control pretty much any time they want, it is a really good thing for any teams that are watching right now to kind of just take some good notes, because it really has been quite phenomenal to see what they're doing. And unfortunately for ENCE Academy, yeah, again, on the receiving end of this, and not an easy thing on the CT side when the T side can just be so strong and fierce. But now, once again, they're going to go for this pop. Mats might get caught with the timing, but actually gets bailed out a little bit from Click. So that's perfect. I mean, I think they're lucky stars a little bit to be able to find that duel. And now he tries to go for a swing. Miller finally gets a bit of a connection back here too. So now things are starting to ramp up a little bit better for ENCE. Finding themselves an opening kill, or 2 opening kills, and Emily lost a single player. This is a good note for them, Scriv.
Oh, trying to get back in here. Hoping someone walks into the crosshair. Less than likely. But on the B-bomb site itself, 3 players set up and ready to go. Certainly, oh yeah, could be winnable. They've got that AWP in a pretty good place. Quite early, lovely position from Swartz here as well to just make sure that you can see this one off. Shadow spotted. It's such an unbeatable angle, that one. Yokab's out of there. There's hardly any time. They were, you know, going for this quick change up to the A-bomb site. With no kills, he can't even get the plant. And a flawless round coming in from ENCE Academy. We're right on the cusp of it being a serviceable half. If they can get the next 3, then they're in a very good position. You know what? They might get the next round here as well. I believe it should be an eco for Johnny Speeds.
Yeah, their money wasn't the greatest too. I think Yokab and Knock were the only 2 with like decent funds, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, just kidding. Never mind. That's all good. We're gonna pull that statement back. But yeah, it is good to see where ENCE, like, you know, even the fact they win the round, but like you said, winning it flawlessly, that adds even just the extra layer of, you know, feeling a little bit better on this one. So now, if they can be able to find these last couple rounds, I mean, a 7-5 half, considering how this game has been going so far, would definitely be a really nice little bit of a remark for them to kind of concluding the first. But still a few more to go. Johnny Speeds gonna hightail it all the way through long. Look at this. They are just running. They are just going for a full sprint onto this. Schwartz actually does spot this out already. So it's gonna wait on the utility. Finally burns it now. But Johnny Speeds, you could tell maybe that was the plan, right? Just kind of burn some of that utility, get them a little bit more antsy in the sense of just burning it so that they can go for this execute a little bit easier. Not going to be able to win that engagement one more time here with the AWP head-to-head. And now Schwartz in a very tight angle, desperately needing to find this. Again, this should be a trade instantly from Johnny. Who talks about trades when they can just win the duels? But Lekro decides, you know what, fine, we will give you the trade. I'm going to take out Heat myself and maybe try to see if I can get a kill as well. But he's down to 4 HP, so he's wounded on this one. And they're going to reconvene their game plan. They're going to go towards back to B. And the rotates look like they're already starting to occur.
Yeah, they got the inside man, lads. They're trying to assist where they can. Oh, lovely from Click. Double spray down for him. Lekro incredibly low as well. Leads that peak, which feels risky and certainly a little lazy for me. I think Nork has to try and get that first. A tough call. As Nork is left in the 1 versus 3 here. Bomb plant going to go down. We'll be able to move into a decent position to try and get this going.
Tons of noise, though.
He's just not spotting anyone right now, and he's a bit restless on these peaks. He will hear the footsteps coming round. Ooh, decent timing, but the elevation from Mats is massive. And I think there's some nices, maybe a few high fives down the line for these guys. May well be playing on the boot camp. Either way, a big round for ENCE Academy taken there.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious from Nox POV too. Like, I was thinking that was a really close shot, right? I mean, it kind of almost felt like it was like either just like the shot right between the legs or something, because it felt like it looked maybe not as close as I thought. But either if he would have been able to find that kill again, the elevation kind of threw him off a little bit. But good work from ENCE though. I mean, the fact that we're able to kind of just play the numbers like that, group up and play the high-low is kind of the best thing you can do in that kind of a situation. Nock was making a ton of noise as well, so they react well to it. Round 11 we go. And now we get to see Johnny Speeds. They're on this little bit of a lighter purchase round. We haven't seen that for quite some time. So this is now definitely the conversation of ENCE Academy being able to find themselves maybe their 4th. And then putting it all into round number 12 to see where it can go. And maybe even, like I said, a 7-5 would be a huge feat for them considering how dominant this first half was. Starting to fizzle a little bit more. Whew, Jocab almost with the shot on top, but not coming through. CT side, as you can see, triple player in B. The singular anchor in towards A, and just got Miller kind of pushing out a little bit, looking for that first engagement. Shadow going to be giving this away of heaps, so that's a good opener. Now can just play back, doesn't have to overextend, doesn't have to get, you know, too aggressive or overzealous. So they're doing a good job of just kind of, you know, looking for the pickings here if they can, Scriff.
Yeah, I think so. Again, keeping it simple. It's a little dull to watch at times, the eco round, but it just has to be done, especially in a game like this. ENCE Academy do not want to let a round like this slip away. That would be crazy. And they need to build up the cash as well, so keeping it as clean as you possibly can is very important. Uh-oh. Sapek with a catch. Just round the corner! The flash is perfect! Maybe I've cursed them into existence here. This is crazy so far. An AWP as well in the hands of Nork. He misses that shot, but they've recovered another gun. They've got the bomb down. They've got bits of utility to just keep them at bay. Smoke will start to dissipate, and that's the big one for me. There should be a nice gap to get into this site now, but I am not feeling good about this, honestly, and they're really tentative as well. Slow going to try and regain the ground. Lecro on the Deagle, rolling back the years for the two-piece. He sets it up, and oh my god, lads, they won the eco.
I was thinking too, that first kill in the A site, I'm like, no, there's no way. Like right there, I'm like, hey, that's a little bit weird from Miller, but that flash from Lecro, man, MVP without a doubt. Like, puts up the utility for the perfect pop flash for his teammate to go through, and like you said, gives us a little bit of a highlight reel from the old days with the Deeg and finding the double kill. Oh, insult to injury, man. It was looking like ENCE Academy had themselves in a prime position for the 4, but just again, that little bit of extra utility. You could see the positioning was just slightly off by that split second, and that allows Johnny Speeds to just get the room they need to be able to prevail. And now, all down to the last round we go, and that is going to sting here for ENCE Academy. But luckily, they can respond a little bit here with a good duel back onto Heap. But now you can see Johnny Speeds grouped up towards this B site. Might not mess around. They might not wait things out. Miller does spot the player, but Jokem actually finds the kill with the boost. So now they're able to get themselves into the site. The rotates are long, Scriv. This is not a good position for them to be in. It's a long road for them. The utility is just blocking their vision. And this is such a strong post-plant position. And they're even going to double boost into heaven. You are absolutely kidding me right now. This is so massive from Jokab.
Yeah, big difference maker here, of course. A great little angle that they've thrown in to try and mix things up. And I think to put into practice, obviously one they've been working on the server. Oh. Okay, he does get something from up here, and they actually don't really know where he's at in terms of comms. Hard to say, and he gets away with the triple kill. No, I totally get that, because you say, oh, there's a guy heaven, because that's what you would go for, and it's actually like, no, he's out on heaven, he's super close, and he's sort of, like, he can see everything, right? It's a really tough spot to beat, but a wild, wild first half coming in. Johnny Speeds with a rinse and repeat of that first map, looking to bag the 2-0 in just a few moments.
Well, we get to see why Johnny Speeds really likes this map. It's a 9-3 on the first half. And this is where they were able to, again, just show full dominance. A couple little blurps here and there, but honestly, it's been pretty much just, you know, full domination in the fact of Overpass with a 9-3, like I said, on the cusp of getting themselves with a 2-0 here, Scriv. And I just don't know if ENCE have it in them to, you know, bring this back through, but I would absolutely love to see it. But man, oh man, they have a tall task ahead of them here moving into the second.
Yeah, no, absolutely true. I think, once again, it's just the same sort of narrative as map number 1, which does speak to the consistency of Johnny Speeds and the inconsistency, of course, of ENCE Academy. Really going to be a tough ride here, and we've talked about the CT-sidedness of the map. Yes, Johnny Speeds seems to have proficiency on their T-side, as we've seen here this evening, but I think that they're really in a great class at the moment of just fantastic Overpass teams. They should be able to see things off. It's kind of a question for me about how quickly and whether ENCE Academy can get some reps in here and build some confidence as that lower bracket seems to await them. Yo Cab on the Julies. Oh man, what is happening here? What is happening? It's kind of wild. No. Yo Cab does strike though. That's what I was waiting for. The Julies going crazy. The knife is out. Oh, that is rough for ENCE Academy. Just, yeah, when you think it can't get any worse.
Yeah, just when you think it, yeah, like you said, couldn't get any worse, knife comes out. Yeah, and honestly, Lecro, it feels like he's just doing these little things just to really put up his team very well in these big situations. Like Jocab obviously putting up the multi-kills, but Lecro's really been putting up some good utility work, and getting that knife kill is going to add some extra funds to the wallet. So, oh boy, just keep on trucking. It's looking good now with a 10-3 in ENCE. Full save they're going to go into this one, so they're just going to write this one off, essentially, hoping maybe if they can get this bomb plant, but they're just going to go into playground. And this sandbox is going to be Johnny Speeds, and look at how fast they just go down. This could be the quickest round we have so far in this series. Everybody except for Schwartz is now done. He's just kind of waiting things out. Little consolation kill, maybe. I mean, if you can find one more, honestly, not a bad, you know, bit of a circumstance considering how aggressive this has been from Johnny Speeds. But Joe Cap's going to push on back. He might try to lead the charge and look for this duel. But the rifle's still out. No armor for Schwartz. Not a good situation for him. So he's going to have to hit the perfect timing on this shot. Gets the dink, but can't get the kill. So 11 going to be grabbed up. 1 casualty against Johnny Speeds. And now it's kind of the make it or break it, right? This is where they have to win this round. The money's going to be on the board. They have to get everybody to pretty much get as much of a close to flawless round as they can. Otherwise, it's going to be all she wrote.
Yeah. Quick day at the office, potentially, for the Johnny Speeds gang. Get themselves really locked in, continuing through the upper bracket. As said, the final on Thursday, so make sure you are around for that. A spot at the regional finals, which is the important part of all of this. Of course, the winner there gets their spot at Pro League, which is what everybody is after. Pro League, a very coveted tournament, of course, and plenty of VRS points on offer, as we've seen. I believe Big have bagged themselves as that last major team locked in. No crazy run for Alliance, no crazy run for K27. So yeah, it is the big boys, and some of these squads within the ECL Cups will be looking to join teams like that in the next major, of course. We got a round of Counter-Strike on the card, so I'm talking over a little bit, and it does seem, unfortunately, Johnny Speeds, same old, not giving us anything too exciting in this round, hitting their shots. The ENCE Academy execute, never got off the ground.
Yeah, it really just gets kind of pulled apart, right? I mean, single-handedly, everybody, one by one, just goes down, and now Miller, hoping for an easy kill. Not going to be easy at all. That MP7 packs a big old punch. Everybody swings, and there it is. Yeah, match and series point. Now on the docket here for Johnny Speeds, and like you said, it might be a quick day in the office. It's looking like they can barely break a sweat, and they're looking pretty proficient to get themselves a potential 2-0 here today. Everything has to be spent, and now ENCE Academy are going to have to do the impossible. We're talking 9 rounds in a row, then overtime, and then maybe go to third map. So, never say never, Scriff. You know, like, I am Canadian and like to be optimistic, but it's just looking like it's a grim path that they have to go down, and not a really good one that's likely. We'll find out here and now. And you see that it was actually Heap that was kind of playing aggressive originally, but actually decides to give a little bit more respect onto this, so they fall on back. And ENCE Academy, they're going to go for a full commit into long. Very interesting. A very bit of a change in their setup.
Yeah, I think just trying to group together, brute force their way in as best they possibly can. Nade, after they're spotted, though, is pretty chunky. Rotation's now going to start coming in. There's just no control. Deep isn't really under threat over here. Nork strikes to close us out. 2-0. The ENCE Academy T side, I think we knew it was going to be rough. They knew it was going to be rough, potentially, by the looks of things. And, yeah, really making a big difference on the day. And Johnny Speeds continue this streak, continue looking good within this tournament. And I think for me, I have to put them in as the favorite now to, you know, take that regional spot and everything. So, yeah, very much excited to see what Johnny Speeds can keep doing throughout this cup.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it definitely is exciting to see, like, just this kind of performance, and putting themselves in that, you know, upper final is really exciting now, because it just feels like, you know, again, we'll bring up the bracket just to kind of give it a little bit of a showcase of this, but, you know, just the way they took this, you know, very much with ease, like that. Like, it's been 2-0s across for these guys the whole time. Like, but I mean, this is where it's been full dominance, and like you can see here, they've punched their ticket into that final, which is great. And now they just kind of have to wait in the wins a little bit of this match just below to see who's going to be able to be the facer of Johnny Speeds. But yeah, whatever team that is, they're going to have a lot of work cut out for them, because Johnny Speeds, it looks like they ain't stopping anytime soon here, Scriv.
No, that is true. That is very, very true. I think really looking good. They played in that first cup, didn't quite place high enough or in the money. But it's, yeah, looking pretty good for them this time around, and perhaps a slightly simpler crop, you know, with all these VRS lands going on. A few teams that would usually sign up for this, not at this time. So, yeah, doing really, really well. The lower bracket side of things, though, just to give you a bit of a closer look on a few of these, of course, to see what's coming up. We have that other game going on at the moment, Elite Energy up against Just Players on the lower bracket side of things, which is still ongoing into its second map. And, yeah, a little bit of a unrecognizable crop of players in that particular matchup, I'm not going to lie to you. So, you know, an unranked team and a team all the way down into the 200s. But all the same, these are the types of guys they're going to be facing off against. And the big one as well is that Mana Unity game. Maybe worth checking out. A lot of recognizable names in that. And, you know, Mana have been very quickly moving up the ranks here, lads, in Europe. And I think potentially, if the stars align, it'll end up being like a Johnny Speeds Mana grand final for that spot in the regional finals.
Yeah, and that's what I was actually going to ask you, like your kind of prediction overall. But yeah, I agree. Like, I feel like Johnny Speeds definitely are one of the bigger teams that, you know, should be in this kind of position. But then it was really the question about which team, you know, in the lower bracket, you know, might be able to push themselves all the way to that. From what I was able to see, Mana definitely looked like an interesting team where they have been able to get some pretty good wins against some decent teams. And, you know, even though they're in the lower bracket, they can still make a bit of a comeback into this conversation as well. So, I mean, that's going to be it for us here so far in this stream, and we see the 2-0, and I mean, a very dominant performance from Johnny Speeds, and we'll have to wait and see, as you said, in a few days' time where we get that grand final to see where these guys can go. But we will bid adieu for now from Laz, myself, and script and production. We'll all wish you a fantastic day. We'll see you later.
Over there as well, so they're going to go bursting into the site itself, and it gets very chaotic over here. He arguably a risk taken, but I guess feels confident as he would. 5-7 comes round for 2, and it's all going to be on Miller T. Things could really make their life nice and easy. Johnny Speeds, can they see it over here though on Mirage? Miller T's got other things to say. There is still the 5-7 of Matt's getting involved as well.
Cleaning the bank account, they have to spend everything they can to getting themselves still in this game. Mid-aggression is going to be the name of the game here for round number 15. And now the rifles are starting to make a little bit more of a connection. Now this is what we wanted to see from ENCE. Finally winning some duels, but there's Knock right there to find the double.
They've been given here could make a big difference. Not going to check that corner. I mean, why would you? Heap with the team kill. No, totally agreed, actually. Boost is nice. Oh, Sapek. Trying to assist where they can. Oh, lovely from Click. Double spray down for him. Lekro incredibly low as well. Leads that peak. As you possibly can is very important. Uh-oh. Sapek with a catch. Just round the corner. The flash is perfect. As well, slow going to try and regain the ground. Lekro on the deagle. Oh. Okay, he does get something from up here, and they actually don't really know where he's at in terms of comms. Hard to say, and he gets away with the triple kill. Rotation's now going to start coming in. There's just no control. Deep isn't really under threat over here. Nork strikes too close. Us